Hi, my name is Renee and I live on what we call Pike Creek Farm. It's 8 acres in the thumb of Michigan, and we moved in here just a couple months before COVID hit and everything was shut down, and it's been our little haven. We have a creek that does run through, and my husband caught a pike in it when he was trying to catch muskrats actually. So we let it go and released it. So that's why we got the name Pike Creek Farm. The reason I'm on today is Leanne from Mennonite Farmhouse is doing this great collaborative on 5 things you would can again and 5 things you wouldn't. And she invited anyone to join that wanted to. So I thought I would try it. I've been canning for years, started as a child with my mom helping her. And then when COVID hit, I bought a pressure canner, something I was always scared of, and I started doing pressure canning, and now I love that. So I'm gonna start with the things I like to can, and one of my favorite things to can is anything tomato products. This is just canned tomatoes. I used to love canning tomatoes with my mom. We would get together and do them for both our families when I had my own family. We also make a lot of salsa, and I actually use Mrs. Wage's medium mix, and my family loves it. I've tried other recipes. I use this in chili and everything. It is very convenient and tasty on chips, on enchiladas, tacos, whatever. We use it all the time. The next thing that I will definitely can again is something that's new that I did when we moved here, is Cowboy Candy. I kept reading on that, and I'm not like a super hot fan. My kids are, but I'm not as much. But this stuff is amazing. I add it on top of chili. It's wonderful with eggs, tacos, salads. My tossed salads, when I take them to work, I'll add this and it gives them just that little bit of zip. It's a sweet, spicy. I saw where you can also chop it up and have it more like a relish, and I would like to try that. But my daughter loves it so much, she helped me can it so she could take some home. And the brine that's left over after you jar everything, we can that also, and it makes a great marinade. The third thing that I would can again is pickles. We like pickles. My dad, who's 85, was here last summer and he helped me can pickles. We did the spears, we did hamburger dills, and we did bread and butter slices. And I only have 2 jars of the spears left, so I know I need to do more of these next year. We put them on, just eat them as snacks. We put them on hamburgers, on pulled pork sandwiches. We eat a lot of the pickles. The next thing is something that I have done for years, is applesauce. We love homemade applesauce, and this is just golden delicious apples. That's all this is. I don't add anything else to it. If we want cinnamon applesauce, I add that and heat it up when we want to have it. But with pork chops as a side dish, I have a 5-month-old granddaughter who's starting to eat food, and she likes the applesauce that Grandma makes. And then the last thing I'm going to show is something that a lot of the other collaborators are also showing, but something that I just started doing like 2 years ago. So I'm really proud of it and amazed at how much I actually use it. And that is the proteins. The chicken breast in the jar was the first thing I ever did, and it makes the best chicken salad. I take it to work and put some on my salads for lunch every day. It makes enchiladas, any kind of casserole. It is wonderful. And then the next thing I did was pork butt. And my kids call it a science experiment. It looks kind of funky, but it is amazing. And the broth, it makes its own broth in here, which is just so rich and flavorful. All I gotta do is heat this up. I don't add spices when I cook it. I did do the spicy pork. That's a ball recipe. And then, so that does have spices, but I do this most of the time. And then I'll add like smoked paprika and garlic and pepper if I'm making pulled pork sandwiches. The other night, I didn't feel like cooking after work. I pulled out a jar of this, opened it up, drained off most of the juice, put it in a square pan, added some defrosted broccoli, put a can of cream of chicken soup on it, and mixed up some stovetop just quick and put it on and baked it. Took the foil off at the end and put Swiss cheese on top. My husband loved it. And he's a hunter, So we also have venison, and this is venison stroganoff, one of the ball meals in a jar. And all I have to do is heat this up, add some thickener and some sour cream, and over mashed potatoes or noodles or rice. This is amazing and so much flavor. So those are the things that I would definitely make again. And there's a whole lot more down in the basement. This is a 100-year-old home, and we have built-in shelves in the basement. And they're pretty full right now. I'm pretty proud of that. Now, the things that I've made that I won't make again is, we have a little orchard here, and I have a lot of pear trees, so I tried pear butter. It tastes great, but it took a lot of time, and no one eats it. So I'm not gonna spend the time cooking this down and making pear butter if it's not gonna get used, sit on the shelf, or go moldy in the fridge. So I won't make this again. I also won't make again, we had a bumper crop of green tomatoes. Not the red tomatoes, but a lot of green tomatoes at the end of the season. So I did dill pickle green tomatoes and bread and butter tomatoes. The flavor's great. I don't like the texture. I've tried them in salads, tried them as a side, and they're just not as crisp as I would like. I added some pickle crisp, and they're still not. And I think the problem is we went to a deli in New York, and they served a bowl of pickles on the table when you got there, and it included dill pickle tomatoes, and they were crunchy and crisp and so much flavor. I got the flavor right, but not the texture. So I think I would need to do them as fermented, which I've never done before, or as refrigerator pickles. So I would try them again because I loved them there in New York, but not canning them. The other thing I won't can again, and I don't even have a sample here, is sloppy joes in a jar. They're gone. Everyone ate them. My parents, my daughter, very convenient. It was the meat and the sauce all made together. It was too rich for my husband's stomach, like too condensed of tomato sauce paste kind of taste to him, and so it bothers his stomach. So I won't make it again since it's just the two of us here. I'm not going to make that again. I'll maybe do the hamburger and do a separate sauce and mix them when I want to serve it. The next thing that I won't do again is kidney beans. They just turned out to be mush. And I've done other beans. I have navy beans down in the basement that turned out wonderful. I can make navy bean salad or soup from them. But these pinto beans, I wouldn't want to add to my chili. And that's what I wanted them for. And the last thing I wouldn't make again is the ball bruschetta in a jar. It was kind of fussy. It's not the texture that I want my bruschetta to be. It's not bad. It's not at all bad. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, I made baguettes from the Needy Homesteader, her recipe, which is amazing. And then the dog all of a sudden woke up, sorry. And I put this on it at the end, and it was great, but I still have too many jars in the basement, and I even gave jars away as Christmas presents, so I wouldn't do that again. And basically, that's my things that I would and wouldn't make. It was hard to pick 5 I would, because there's a lot of other things, but these are the things that are staples now in our house. We also do, potatoes and carrots and lots of other things, and I'm experimenting and always looking for new recipes. But I do try to stick to the ball recipes. I'm gonna get it wrong, but any approved recipes are what I try to can for us to make sure it's safe for us and for anyone else that would eat it. So thank you for doing this collaboration, Leanne. It is wonderful to see and very fun to see what everyone else does or doesn't do from the different parts of the country. And thank you for inviting anyone else to join in. And once again, this is Renee from Pikes Creek Farm. Thank you.